at 6.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Brian Mastry.
And I'm Erin Sullivan. Let's get right into our top 6 headlines at 6.
Breaking tonight, one person is dead after an explosion at an Iowa scrapyard. This happened in Bartlett, about 20 minutes south of the metro, just off I-29. Investigators say an employee was taking apart a large commercial fuel tank at the time of the explosion. Investigators are not identifying the person killed until they get a hold of next of kin.
2 people, including an Omaha firefighter, are recovering tonight after flames broke out at a home early this morning. Crews responded, rescued one person from the house near 44th and Evans, and then took them to the hospital. A firefighter was also injured and went to the hospital as well. Crews don't know what caused the fire just yet.
Also breaking, a jury has ordered Meta to pay $375 million in a New Mexico trial over child exploitation and user safety. The trial centered on allegations that Meta violated state consumer protection laws and misled people about the safety of apps like Facebook and Instagram.
The University of Nebraska and Creighton are teaming up for a program to keep top students in the state after graduation. It's called Nebraska Leaders Program. Selection is merit-based, and once chosen, the students will get extra coaching and career placement with Nebraska companies.
NASA announced a plan today to spend $20 billion to build a moon base. The goal is to strengthen U.S. leadership in space by establishing a sustained human presence. The plan includes more frequent missions, initially targeting landings every 6 months.
Well, the Big Red have arrived in Houston ahead of their Sweet 16 rivalry matchup with Iowa on Thursday. We'll take you live to Houston later in the broadcast with an update from our sports director, Clayton Collier.